Happy Friday, everyone. This is Maayan Gordon. I am the owner of Maayan Gordon Media, and I am here live at 5 today. We are streaming on LinkedIn, we are streaming on Facebook and to YouTube. And today I'm just here to share some thoughts from my mind, from my brain about creativity. So as always, if you're watching right now, first of all, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Secondly, comment where are you watching from in the world. You could comment a city, comment a country, and what is one thing that you're grateful for today? Today, I am really grateful for, I would say, books. I love books. I love the way that our brain connects with words when we're reading them differently than when we're hearing them. I think it's a fascinating thing, the way that we can take a word, see it, say it with the voice in our head, and translate it into visuals, translate it through imagination into a creative space. So if you have any questions about creativity, about creating videos, about creating content, about creating in general, please, as always, post them in the comments. And I'd like to get everyone who's watching right now to go ahead and share this live. If you could share it to your page, if you could share it to a different network that you're on, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, I would greatly appreciate that. So one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about is brain power, really what our brain is truly capable of. And I believe that each of us is capable of genius. Now, yes, some of us are born with a genetic or a DNA advantage that is going to make it easier for us to achieve genius. But I really believe any of us can achieve a level of genius. And what I mean by this is that our brain is so powerful. If you feed it in the right ways, if you nurture it in the right ways, it can grow into something that can solve any problem. That's at the heart of what creativity is, isn't it? It's just problem solving. It's connecting dots, it's finding patterns, it's predicting things based off past experiences. Creativity is taking things that we already have, reorganizing them and forming something new. So I really can attribute a lot of my success today to having read a lot of fiction back when I was younger. It's a combination of a lot of things. I also had parents who pushed and valued education and made me value education. So that was definitely helpful. But absolutely, I can say without a doubt that the reading I did when I was a kid has greatly affected and helped me now as an adult. And the reason for that is because the same muscle you're using in your brain to construct a story, to construct scenarios like when you're reading, is the same brain muscle, the same brain power that you use to come up with the answer to a problem that you might have, whether that problem's in a personal relationship, whether that problem is something with your business, whether it's financial or supply-based. Being able to come up with solutions often requires you to come up with multiple solutions to compare them against each other, find the best one. But also, when you do a comparison of unique or similar things, you often can make realizations and find patterns that you couldn't find without having made those comparisons. Absolutely, the brain is an efficient problem-solving supercomputer, more powerful than any supercomputer we've ever built. And we know this because we use very little of our brain power. I would hypothesize that our brain does have the ability to experience time in a different way. So as you know, everything we experience in our life, we experience through the perspective, through the lens of how our brain chemically, electrically interprets data, whether that data is sunlight or temperature or the things it could be. There's so many things that we interpret and consume in through our brain, and very little of it are we aware of consciously. One of those things happens to be time. In fact, if you think about it, you can know this to be true because we get to experience time in different ways, meaning sometimes time feels slow, whatever that means. Sometimes time feels fast. Sometimes you can feel like you're going back in time with a memory. Sometimes you can't feel it at all. So there's clearly something that our brain does that allows us to feel and sense and experience time. Now, do we have any idea how it does that or what mechanisms it's using to generate that feeling or that sense that we have? No, we're still very, very early in the technological age, right? The technological age has just begun. We had the Industrial Revolution. We're at the very, very, very beginning of the technology revolution. I mean, our buildings aren't even smart buildings yet. We don't even wear smart clothes yet. That is what the future will look like. Everything that exists will be embedded with technology. And so we're just really, really at the forefront of not only being able to integrate technology, but at the forefront of being able to use technology to measure things that we've never been able to measure before. And as human beings, measurement is so important to us. In fact, it's what drives all of business marketing right now, measurement. In fact, that's why people, that's why businesses, that's why brands are not jumping on TikTok, because they're scared that they don't have a way to measure success with numbers. They go, what is the ROI of me putting time and money into this platform? And there's no tool that can tell them yet what the exact ROI is. Because you know what? ROI comes in many more forms than views, than comments, than sales. What about the ROI of increasing your brand awareness? What about the ROI of increasing brand trust? These are things we simply don't have the tools, and technology has not been developed yet to measure these things, but it's coming. There are some really, really smart people. There's 8 billion people on the planet. And even if only 1% of them were smart, I think a lot more than 1% is pretty smart. But even if it was only 0.001% that was smart, that's enough really smart people with enough existing technology to snowball it into the future and create some amazing things that are easily adoptable, that are widespread, and that inevitably change the way that our society and our world exists and operates, and the way that we connect with each other. All of everything that we've ever done as human beings in a human race has been to achieve a higher state and a deeper level of connection. Why do you think our cities have grown in the way that they have instead of so completely dispersed? There's a lot of room on this planet, and we all live in like these tiny little dots when there's all this land out there. That's because of our desire for human connection, for no other reason. In fact, oftentimes it's much, much, much more expensive to live in the city. People do it anyways because they're around other people, and that quality that it brings to their life is so significant. So I want to talk about creativity and where you can either draw creativity from or how you can develop more creativity if you feel like you're not a very creative person. I think one of the fundamental requirements for developing more creativity is having, I would say, lack of distraction, or you could call it silence, or you could call it space. The same way that if you were trying to learn something new, like a new language, or how to do a new type of math problem, it would be very, very hard for you to learn that something new if there were other things going on, if the TV was playing kind of loudly in the background, if also someone was performing some type of acrobatics in front of you, if there were some cookies that smelled really, really good. All of these distractions would make it harder for you to focus on learning the new language or learning the new math problem. The same thing is true of creativity. Creativity is like learning something new, but it's actually creating something. Like learning is absorption. Creativity is creation and output. Creativity is an output, I would say, process that you do with your brain, versus learning is mostly, learning is very complex, but learning, I would say, is mostly an input process where you're learning how to do things with parts of your brain that you already know how to use. Creativity is like turning on a light switch in your brain that has never been turned on before. And all of a sudden it lights up an entire room. And within this room are so many fascinating things that you get to explore. This is what creativity is like. And being able to turn on that light switch, you need space, you need silence, you need lack of distraction to be able to even see where the light switch is. First, you have to locate the wall. Once you find the wall, you're going to have to do some searching. That's a big part of creativity, is allowing your brain and being okay with the feeling of dead space in your brain, of not finding, of searching with a thought and it not being there, and rerouting the energy from that one area of your thoughts, one area of your brain, into a new one, going, that's okay that there's no good thoughts there, there's no creative thoughts there. Let's take our thoughts somewhere else. Let's infuse a new element into those thoughts. What about dogs? If we threw dogs into the scene, what about if we changed the colors? What about if we change things, right? A lot of creativity comes from being able to break down elements. And this is, I think, part of where my glassblowing and training in ceramics and just my immersion in art, I'd say throughout my life, has really also helped me in terms of creativity. I believe creativity relies on your ability to break down complex things into components. Because if you can break down anything into its components, you can then rearrange those components and all of a sudden have something new without ever having had to think of the new thing and what it looks like. I don't have to know what a building's gonna look like to build it in my head if I take elements from other buildings and I just stack them on top of each other. I'll know once it's completed, once the process, once the imagination has finished the result. I don't have to know what it's supposed to look like first. And I think that's a really cool creative process that we can all go through, is thinking of something. It could literally be anything. Taking a water bottle. A great exercise to practice this with is a teapot. This is actually a classical exercise in art, is to take the elements of a teapot, the spout, the handle, and the main compartment, as well as the lid, and then a foot. These are like all the elements that make up a teapot, and to rearrange them into ways that would almost make it not recognizable as a teapot. So what is a teapot? What is it even, if you reshape it and make it something that doesn't resemble anything a teapot's ever been in terms of your experience, is it still a teapot? This is a really fun way, I think, to dive into creativity, and you can use absolutely any object, right? You could take a car. You could say a car is made up of doors, wheels, a steering wheel. What if I put the steering wheel on the outside? Is it still a car? What does that look like? And kind of just allow your brain to explore possibilities that do not exist, that likely will not exist because they're not rational. But this practice allows you, within this ability to create new things, let's say out of every 10 ideas you have, only 7 of them are good. That would be amazing. Imagine if you could come up with 7 good ideas to solve every problem. Even take it back. What if out of every 10 ideas you have, 7 of them are bad and 3 of them are good? To have 3 good ideas to choose from instead of 1 that you started with gives you so much ability to choose the best idea. And again, context through comparison to maybe come up with a 4th idea that's better than all of those 3 because you were able to analyze the differences of them. So we got a couple people commenting in. What's up, Jorge? I hope you're having a great day today. We got Christian, we got Vanjay. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. We got a Facebook user, what's up, from Los Angeles. Grateful for your son being and learning to do housework. That's awesome. Yes, when kids become helpful, the world's better. I love seeing kids that are like great little helpers. That's awesome. That's part of Industry 4.0 and also how the new CLT mass timber buildings are being designed and built. That's fascinating. Feel free to message me. I'd love to hear more about those buildings. I'm actually quite fascinated with architecture and buildings because I really see them as a form of artwork that gets to combine both the beauty of design with the science of design. And I've seen a couple interesting documentaries around, again, technologies that are being implemented into building materials. So I'm super fascinated with all of that. I really do think that our buildings are going to look vastly different in 100 years, and they're going to have a lot more technology incorporated. So definitely hit me up if you guys are involved with anything really interesting like that. That's kind of at the forefront of an industry, using interesting technology or using technology in interesting ways. I would love to hear about it. I'm also always looking for interesting guests who have either great information or great stories, especially the great stories part, to share on my LinkedIn live show. So hit me up, you guys. If you want to get in touch with me, it's really easy. LinkedIn's a great place. Instagram's a great place. And my email address is monkeyboyart@gmail.com. I especially love helping people understand and figure out a video marketing strategy. If you don't have a video marketing strategy yet, it might be because of this creativity issue that we're talking about, because it does involve a lot, like video involves a lot more creative process, I would say, than writing. I'm very, very good at writing. I'm only okay. I consider myself only okay at video compared to like, I'm really good at writing, you guys. And the reason for that is there are so many more elements in a video. A video is much, much more complex than just the words on the piece of paper, right? There's the sound, there's the colors, there's the timing elements. There's no timing when you write a post. The timing's in someone's head how they read it. So yes, there's a little bit with like commas and punctuation, but in video, there's so much more timing elements involved, and then the sound level. So it's just much more complex to tell a story through a video than it is through a post. But because of that, it's so much more powerful. And the people who work to create good video marketing strategies now will win until something better than video comes along for us to communicate through. I'm sure it'll happen, but I can't even fathom what that would be, other than like I've seen these really cool light fans that create 3D holographic images. I've listened to someone at Lakeside School, which is the high school I went to, came and gave a presentation on, they're developing a holographic technology where in the air you can interface and actually touch these holographic like light buttons. So they're working on, their first test case was Coke machines and like vending machines that are virtual essentially, and you're interacting on a virtual interface. So that's all really fascinating stuff, but definitely super, super far in the future. And for at least the next 10 years, if not the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, video is going to be king in terms of creating brand awareness, in terms of driving sales, in terms of growing your business, growing your impact, growing your reach around the world. So feel free to get in touch with me if you guys have any questions. I love talking about this stuff. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Friday night, and we will be back again tomorrow live at 5.